Hello, everyone. My name is Tia. I'm a co host for The Darkened Hour. And I'm very proud to announce that this is our first interview with comic artist extraordinaire Jessica Lynn. And we're going to be talking about where she's from, where she's been, and where she plans on going this year. And, it's going to be a very fangirl kind of year. Tell us about what inspired you to get into comics, like the early years and such.
Well, I actually started to only get into comics my senior year of high school. There was a classmate in my class who was totally into comics. I mean, he was the hugest, he was like the nerd,
Yeah.
the comic nerd, and it's like, oh, he's kind of cool. And him and I became friends, and he got me Batgirl Year One. And that comic was so amazing that I was like, I want to do this forever. I want to draw comics, but specifically Batgirl is what I wanted to draw. But initially, he is the one that got me really, really, really into comics. He just totally schooled me on everything. And it really created a passion for me to want to draw and be part of that world that Batgirl gave me. So
Absolutely. And that's like a fun fact. Me and Jessica went to the same high school. So I knew exactly what she's talking about. He's quite talented, a guy. And I remember he's really good. Who are your favorite artists or writers? I know that list is pretty long. So let's narrow it down.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one of each just
Yeah.
to make it easier, and I'll
Yeah.
be able to get into more detail why. So my favorite artist is Arthur Adams. I first learned about him at the Kubert School my first year.
Mm-hmm.
We were studying some inking techniques, and they brought up Art Adams, and I was just like, who is Art Adams? I would love to see his work. And in that school, they always had inspiration all over the walls, and
Yeah.
some of his X-Men stuff was up there, and it was just so mind-blowing. It was just, wow, I want to learn how to ink like that. And I actually started to try to mimic his patient inking style with a nib. He just goes in and does line after line after line after line, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of practice to get it right.
Yeah.
So he really, really instilled, even though not personally, but he truly instilled that discipline in me that when you ink something, when you draw something, you have to give it all of your attention, all of your love. So that's honestly the reason why he's truly my favorite artist. He's really phenomenal and just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys meet?
We
Had a meet and
did.
greet?
I did meet him. I met him at this past New York Comic Con in October.
Yeah.
I went over to his table and introduced myself, and I was really nervous as I'm getting now thinking about it.
Yeah.
And, just told him that I was a huge fan of his. He made me want to really get into this
Yeah.
comic and inking thing. And then I told him about Fangirl, and he was really excited about it because he knew about it. And, I got to meet my art hero, so that was really cool.
Wow, that is. I mean, who gets to say they meet their hero?
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and they know of you.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? You weren't just like some cold case. You just walked up to him and, like, yeah, oh, I know exactly who you are. You know what I mean? That's a lot of, like, that's pretty. I'd brag. I would, yeah. I totally brag.
I get too giddy about it. I just smile and
Trying not to say anything too ridiculous,
yeah,
right?
I just
Yeah.
get really excited. But
So-
my favorite writer,
Yeah.
definitely Gail Simone,
Mm.
for multiple reasons. Main reason is, like I said, Batgirl got me into comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Batgirl, the way she was portrayed in Year One was everything that I wanted to see in a superhero. When The Killing Joke happened and Batgirl became the Oracle, there was this whole different side of Barbara that nobody saw before. She was this huge intellect, and she still was so powerful, despite the fact that she was in a wheelchair. Birds of Prey, written by Gail Simone, also had Oracle in it. Those books were phenomenal. But what really did it for me is when she brought Batgirl back. She brought Barbara Gordon back in the New 52 relaunch from DC. The entire storyline that Gail wrote for Batgirl when she came back was just so empowering. Just not just being a woman either, Just empowering for anybody who may have feel like you have some kind of disability that you can't
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
anything, that you
exactly.
can't bounce back from it.
Absolutely.
And Gail Simone showed us, yes, you can bounce back from it and be a badass at the same
Yeah,
time.
like your handicap isn't something that needs to be changed or needs to be
Exactly.
eradicated. You can be in the military and still be the star. You can still be, save the day. You have other abilities. Like she's a master hacker and all that
Right.
stuff, and it's amazing. I thought, no, that's yeah, that's a hell of a way to start. As your first introduction to comics as Batgirl,
Yeah.
and that's really awesome. Otherwise, now that we think about New 52 and whatnot, and there's a lot of comic book movies on the rise and whatnot. So, do you feel, that the comic book cinematic universe is expansive, Marvel and DC? Do you feel like the medium of film helps the original source material, or does it make it worse?
That's a really good question. It for me, it can go either way. Honestly, it truly depends on the team. If the team truly cares about the characters and the original storylines for the comic books, they're going to do the
Hmm.
research, they're going to find out more about them and try to interpret that their own way. We've also seen movies where they don't care about what the original
Trying
storyline
to just fill
is,
seats, right?
and yeah, and it doesn't work out well. So I'm more interested in seeing comic book movies that actually somewhat stay true to the original creators,
Yeah.
at least what they wanted. But I'm always really open to watching like any comic book movie. I think if anything, no matter what, any publicity for these books is going to be great. So,
Yeah, I think just to interject a little bit, I remember
mhm.
I was watching a talk between like Jim Lee and Tom McFarlane and all that stuff and Stan Lee, and they're talking about a time where comic book material was just so hard to find. There was really nothing on TV, there was nothing in movies. It was just like any
Right,
little thing you get your hands on. Like even if it
right.
was memorabilia, you're oh this is awesome. You know what I mean? They're saying like I'm so glad they see it that way because it's so easy to get jaded, and I think I feel I'm a little jaded because I grew up with it. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, another one, oh,
Right.
whatever, I don't care. They're just like, whoa, you know what I mean? Stanley's like a little kid out here. He loves it. He loves the attention. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
But
a
like you
lot
said,
of
either way, if people care, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, a lot of the comic artists are usually really, really excited to see that hey, we're being represented in
Mm,
movies now. We're mainstream now. That's
word.
something very, 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 very different. Even when I started out wanting to become a comic artist,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of mainstream stuff out there. You were still like, oh, you want to draw comics in your mom's basement? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cute.
The
It's like no, no, we're
stereotype, right? Like
yeah.
you're not a
There was
professional.
still a big
Yeah.
stereotype, and even being a girl, there was still
Yikes. Yeah.
something. But I think definitely more creators are getting more excited that they're being represented in the big media instead of just in the books.
Something else that I've noticed is like this trend of major media companies that maybe work with just a film and they're reverting back to comics. Like there's like this really like fall like oh, we really want to make good comic books and we have this team now and we're gonna get all these artists and we're gonna make cool stuff. It's funny they've worked on big screens and television shows. They're like, no, we're gonna come back to comic books. I always
Hmm.
wonder what's the drawback. Like what's the appeal to come back after people started making comic books, did the movies, then want to come back and do some more comic
It's
books.
people like you and me.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much.
people who want to read comic books and
Yeah.
are like, man, this is awesome. Why is there not a book about this? Why can I not pick this up and read more of it? You even
Absolutely.
find that in cartoons. The Avatar
Hmm.
has its own comic book that
I had no
continued on
idea.
after the story is over.
Really,
It literally starts where the story ends.
I think
So.
that's the beauty of comic books that you could have a continuous series and go on and expand and expand and expand until maybe you reach some sort of end or you reach maybe you get tired of it and start a whole other fresh like New 52.
Yeah,
That's the whole
exactly.
purpose of it
Exactly.
to garner new fans.
Yeah.
But move on to step back a little bit.
Hmm.
You mentioned you were a student at Joe Kubert.
Yes.
Can you just like maybe loosely you spent about 3 years there,
I
right?
spent 2 years.
2 years.
It's a 3 year school.
Yeah.
And I went there for 2 years. I didn't graduate.
Which is cool. You know what I mean? That's
No, it's totally fine.
yeah. So describe like your experience like coming in and how that was and kind of culture shock maybe.
It was it was definitely a culture shock, mainly because, like I said, I had just started getting into comic books when I
Mm.
went to that school, and I drew a very different style than what I draw now. I
Yeah.
drew more of an anime type style. So it was very, very, very hard for me my first year because I had to try to draw comic books when I was trying to draw manga type of stuff. And my teachers were very understanding. They were amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
even though I was not really drawing what they were trying to teach me,
Mm.
they still went way above and beyond to make sure that I understood what I was doing.
Absolutely.
The way the school mostly works is your first year, you're kind of feeling things out. You're
Mhm.
kind of learning what you want to do. Everybody has a different goal first year. Some people even
Yeah.
go there and they want to do video games. You know,
Oh,
it's all
wow.
different. Then
Yeah.
by your second year, you kind of know exactly what you want your style to be, if you want to draw your own comics, if you want to draw for DC or Marvel.
Yeah.
And it was my second year that I think I got the most out of the school. I had teachers like Mike Kreger and Darren Auk. I had Andy Kubert that
Yeah.
year. And it was the year that they really kind of whipped us into shape to kind of show
Wow.
us, like, this is just a small fraction of the amount of stuff you're going to have to do when you get into the
Right.
industry.
When you told me about the pages, all the pages you were working on, I almost gasped. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really
My heart almost
overwhelming.
skipped a beat. I'm like, wow, this is a lot of work, man.
Yeah,
This is-
that school really prepares you really well, though, because they give you your first year is the most work you're ever going to do. You literally get a new assignment every single week, and it's due the next following week. And you have 2 classes per day, 5 days a week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a huge blocks of your time, plus the time you're spending outside
Exactly.
at your own time. Wow.
Whatever own time you might get.
Yeah. And you're like up
Whatever own
all
time you
crazy
might get.
hours, I imagine. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And your second year, you do more assignments. Your second year, you're gonna do more assignments geared towards actually working in the comic industry. So you get real scripts that
Oh.
were actually real books, and you have to work
Wow.
on those. And they give you a longer amount of time to work on the pages, but they're a lot more strict about it.
I
But
can imagine.
yeah, but it's a good place to learn to draw comics.
How are the critiques? Like when people have all their work together, is it like a group critique, or is it kind of like teacher just picks someone out and just like, hey, this is what you're doing, blah blah.
Yeah, it's different for per class. Some teachers like to do it individually and just say, hey, this is what you're doing. They throw a piece of tracing paper over it and just kind of show you what you're doing wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most of them, though, like at Andy and Adam's class and Joe's class, they all did this type of thing where you would all put your work up on the blackboard, and you would just pick someone random, and they would critique you, and then
Oh.
you would critique their work.
Have you gotten like some pretty like
Oh, yeah.
heated
yeah.
debates in there?
Well,
Can
I mean,
imagine.
everybody was usually really cordial with each other. They were really respectful. And even
That's
if they
nice.
hated what you did, they would still say, this is okay, but to make it better, how about you do this?
Yeah, that's constructive. This is the literal
Yeah.
definition of constructive criticism. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's definitely very truthful as they can be with you, because they want to make sure that
You're tough.
Yeah, you got to do it right. So, you know, I got my fair share of negative feedback,
Oh,
but
wow.
it helps you.
Yes, it does. You need to hear it. Even if
yeah.
you don't agree, you're like, oh, I got to eat that criticism sometimes. You got to take it for what it is. Have you seen people's feelings get hurt or people get like a little
No,
emotional?
surprisingly, no. There was mainly men in that school when I went. It's very different now. But when I was there, probably in the entire school there was about 10 girls in the entire school, and there was, I want to say, maybe 50 or 60 guys.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to be nice to the girls. I'm not gonna lie. They did try to be a little bit more lenient with us so that, you know, they weren't too hard on us. But it was still really like, hey, this is pretty, but you suck at the same time. So it was still very, you know, you gotta whip yourself into shape, because
Yeah.
you're not doing a very good job. But I can't remember a time where anybody took it to heart and was just like, oh, I'm sad.
I guess like, I don't know, like I've been to an art school and you kind of can't. Because it's like, you came here, you put your work up, you kind of got to take it. It is what it is.
Right. Yeah, you have to. It's what you're paying for.
I guess like following up with Qbert, how has it been post Qbert? Like after, you know, you didn't finish, and then how was it afterwards? Like, you know, commission work and, you know, Comic Cons, things like that.
Well, right after I got out of the Kubert school, it was pretty slow. I wasn't really doing anything comic related. I went to New York Comic Con in 2012, got my first table there.
Nice.
And thankfully, I've been pretty sought after for commission work at cons, so it's been pretty steady that way. It was really in 2014 that like my career really took off. So until then, I was just kind of somewhat floating around, trying to sneak my way into the industry.
Lots of interviews, lots of emails.
Yeah, lots of interviews. Any opportunity I could at cons to see any editor or just anybody that would look at my work and tell me if I sucked or not.
For real.
I took it.
For real, yeah.
I did. I took any opportunity that I could just to have people tell me.
Have you ever
that I
gotten
sucked.
like a very just like displeased response from someone you're like?
Yes.
Yeah, like how was it? Like,
It was actually recently I got the most displeased response from my work. The person was not pleased with my female form.
Oh.
They felt that I drew very cheesecakey type stuff.
Oh, that's the word. I remember that. I remember that word.
And I mean, I disagreed because to me, cheesecake has to be something exposed to me. Not just like a booty, not just that. It has to be something else.
Yeah.
And I think for the
Is
most
cheesecake
part,
like comic artist jargon, or is it word thrown around a lot?
it's just an artist term.
I've
Actually,
never heard of that term
it
before
is.
you.
It really.
Yeah,
it's,
I've never
it's-
heard that term at all.
If you I don't know who made it up. It's like a pinup thing. Alberto Vargas used cheesecake terms for his pinup girls. Olivia Bernardinis uses cheesecake for the
Wow.
pinups that she does. It's just basically saying a somewhat tasteful, nude, provocative pose
Not like kind of like a Betty Page esque pinup,
type.
like that type in
Yeah.
that vein where it's like everything's very pretty, very clean.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
still very like somewhat naughty.
Oh,
It's
okay.
still
Like
got
there's still
somewhat
that
of a
air
naughty-
of like
Yeah, there's just
sexuality.
a small
Yeah.
hint of adult theme there.
Yeah.
That's what cheesecake is.
Is
and-
it kind of like, do people own the word, or they're like, oh, I don't want to be called that?
Yeah, Frank Cho owns that word
Okay,
all
cool.
day, every day. Yeah. Yeah, Frank Cho owns that word. He will happily thank you for calling his stuff cheesecake.
Wow.
Some artists fuel their career over it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just
It depends on what you're going for. 'Cause if
Yes.
that someone wasn't what you were going for, you're like, ugh.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't think that I draw that type of stuff. But I'm all down for constructive criticism. I'm all down for even if you don't like my work, that's
Yeah.
okay too. You don't have to like everything I do. I just ask that you give constructive criticism and just not tell me
Yeah.
that you just don't like it.
Yeah, because then that's lazy. It's a lazy criticism. Because I just
Yeah.
don't like it. Okay.
Yeah, you
well,
just- okay.
And like,
Yeah, it's like, well, why don't you like it? Maybe there's something I can change about it that would.
yeah, maybe
Make you
something I could
interested.
learn or something. But
Yeah.
people just like to talk a lot. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm just gonna find something bad to say about this girl because she's a girl sitting at the table, and I'm gonna say something really awful.
She's too pretty. I need to
Yeah, no,
make
she
her
can't be
upset.
that good. No. But
Well.
otherwise, how's your con experiences been since you've been having a table and whatnot?
They've been mostly positive as far as, people wanting to commission me, buy my stuff, get into Fangirl, good stuff like that. For the most part, though, I think being a woman in the con scene is sometimes very difficult. There is a certain type that we're supposed to be, and when we don't fit that type, a lot of people don't really want to deal with us.
I think there's a word for this, like the manic pixie dream girl type. Colored hair.
Yeah,
super just, oh, I can save you from your boring life.
Yeah.
I'm so interesting. I'm an
Yeah.
artist.
we
It's a
have
thing.
we do have to look happy and nice all the time, and that's not realistic. We're human. We get tired too. And
yeah.
the one thing I would like to change about my Comic-Con experiences is just to be treated like the guys get treated. I don't want to be treated any differently just because I'm a girl. I want to be treated like all the other professionals are treated.
Exactly. Not
So-
like someone to like some delicate or someone who's just
Right.
like, oh, she's not smiling, so she must be like, a complete bitch or something like that.
Right,
Pretty
yeah.
much, She's not smiling because she doesn't have to.
Right.
I'm not like, you're not selling cars here. You're not some pinup sitting on a car or something like that. Or, you know what I
Right.
mean? You're selling your artwork. This is like your life's work here. And it's very, makes me sad that con is like this really, becomes unsafe place for girls. To me, that makes me very sad because there's no reason why girls should feel unsafe or feel uncomfortable by a male's presence.
Right.
At con. Everyone there should be having a good time and
Right.
looking at artwork and minding their business.
Right. Well, one good thing about Reed Pop,
Yeah.
the cons, all the cons that I've attended except one or two, were Reed Pop shows, and they have signs everywhere. Cosplay is not consent. Don't harass. We have zero harassment policy.
Cosplay is not consent.
That's right. It's really not. And
PSA.
Reed Pop really does not take that lightly. I mean, they have a zero tolerance
Absolutely,
policy.
and it should be.
Yeah, so New York Comic Con, C2E2 special editions. These are the Comic Cons that you are always going to be really well taken care of there.
Nice. That's
Can't
always
speak for
good
any
too.
of the other ones because I've
Yeah,
never been.
because you've been lucky to have a pretty good support system of people just like, hey, don't mess with her.
Right.
She's an artist. We're all artists here. Chill out.
Right.
I think that's really
thankfully.
good to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel really lucky for that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's thank you lucky stars, because things get really ugly really quickly. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because if you like I think you said earlier on when we were talking, you're saying like, oh, if I was too aggressive with someone who's being like really creepy, but you had every right to,
Right.
someone else saw that, you would give a bad reputation for yourself.
Right.
And that's awful, because you're
Yeah.
just defending yourself.
Right.
Defending your space. And I feel like maybe things will get better and whatnot, because other guys catch it and they react to it like, no dude, that's not right.
Exactly. Thankfully, more people are starting to speak up about, unfortunately, the harassment that does happen with girls at cons. They're starting to say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. If you're doing something inappropriate, we're going to call you out, and we don't really care if the staff is here or not, And it also helps, too, because it's going to teach these guys and these individuals that you can't treat people this way. You
Absolutely.
can't act like that.
No.
And
unacceptable.
we're all humans at the end of the day. We all deserve each other's respect.
Exactly. Like basic human decency. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised how hard it is for some to get
Yeah.
that through their heads. As long as people stay consistent, I feel like the culture will take a shift where
Yeah.
like those guys will be called out by other guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't just be you like, hey, no. It'd be like other guys seeing it and are like, no, you just
Yeah.
stop.
I'd like to be respected to be as a comic artist, not as necessarily as a cute girl who's sitting behind a table. I'd like to be
like a
respected
groupie,
as such.
or something like that.
Exactly.
I'm here as a professional, not
Exactly.
as eye candy for you
Exactly.
to lurk at behind the table and stuff. It's crazy. But otherwise, now we've arrived to Fangirl Comics. Yes, the headliner, the first project. Tell me give me the Cinderella story of how you've gotten into
Sorry,
Fangirl.
this makes me really excited
Yeah.
to talk about it. Okay, so Fangirl, like you said, it is my first project. We're still working on it. But I really love to tell the story of how Fangirl came to be, because I want to show everybody that there are people that are going to have your back even if you don't know them. So the way Fangirl came about, it was special edition NYC, its first year in 2014.
Yeah.
And I had a table there. And a friend of mine had just met Gail Simone, and they were like, "Oh, we went and saw Gail Simone, and we showed her our portfolio." And I was like, "She actually looked at it? Like,
Yeah,
I
right?
can't even believe she looked at it, But this is a smaller con, special edition, so writers and artists are able to do things like that. So that was a really good opportunity for me. And at first I said, no, I'm not going to go over there. I'm too nervous.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
want to
my
go over
gosh.
there, and I don't want to. I just can't do it, And my friend was just like, just go for it. What's the worst she'll tell you is no. I was like, all right, I guess I'll go, fight my fear. And I went up there and introduced myself and just told her how much, her writing meant to me, how much it meant to me when she brought Batgirl physically back from being an Oracle and everything. And she noticed that I had a portfolio in my hand, and she asked if I was an artist, and I said yes. And I said, would you maybe mind looking at my stuff?
Yeah, please.
Maybe just for a minute. And she said, I'm a writer. I'm not an artist. I would not be able to critique you if you're doing something wrong. I apologize. And I was just like, oh, just please just look at it. Like, you don't have to critique me. Just maybe look at it. And she said, okay.
Your personal opinion.
She said, as long as you're not looking for a critique, I wouldn't mind looking at it.
Yeah.
And she was pretty taken aback by the first page that she saw. It was some sample pages for a webcomic called Erika that I do. And her first question was, why are you not working in comics? And I said, I have never had the opportunity to work in comics. I haven't gotten a job. And she looked through my stuff, and we had some really great conversation. And she actually sent me to a booth to get a small 4-page job from somebody. Yeah, and the very next day, I got an email from Tom Stillwell, the writer of Fangirl, and he said, Gail Simone contacted me and told me that she met you and that she thinks you would be perfect for our book.
Wow.
So from there, my
What?
relationship with Fangirl began, and Gail has been beside us every step of the way. She really has
Wow.
been. She's been trying to promote our book. When our Kickstarter was going on, she was talking about it. She was trying to get people interested. We gave her one of our little 8-page preview books, and she's really excited about it, and I'm really excited that she's really excited about it.
Yeah, everyone's like
because-
amped now. Everyone's just
Yeah,
like energy's
it's
on
like
high now.
my hero,
Yeah.
my hero in comics gave me my first comic job.
Wow, that's
that
fairy
is-
tale. That's like fairy tale
Yes,
shit right
like,
there.
really
Like seriously,
incredible.
right?
It's really cool.
Oh my god. I mean, I think it goes to say persistence, just stepping up and not being afraid
Yeah.
to talk to people who you think are like way up here.
Yeah,
It's-
that's actually a problem that a lot of us have. We're
Yeah.
introverts. We are not really wanting to talk about ourselves too much,
Yeah.
and we get very nervous.
it's hard to
but
get work that way. When you just
It
can't
is
talk.
hard. That's why it's so hard for us, because we're like, we just want to draw. We have to talk to people. It's like, yeah, you got to talk to people.
Seriously. But otherwise, regarding Fangirl, how has the process been so far? After you know that you're the artist and you're gonna be the lead, how has that from that point up until now been?
It's been a lot of work. It has been a lot of work. When I first started Fangirl, I was a very inexperienced artist. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I began.
That's good.
I was still learning perspective. I don't have Manga Studio, which is what a lot of the comic artists use today to draw their comic books, and they do it all digitally, and it's easy because it gives you the perspective lines.
Oh, okay.
But I can't use that, so I have to attach papers to my board to try to find the point from where it goes and draw the
Wow.
lines. So it's very tedious. It's very tedious, and because it's at a Comic-Con,
Yeah.
there's a lot of crowds. There's a lot of people. And one thing I want to try to remember in Fangirl is it's trying to talk about us fans. What do comic fans look like? We look like just about anybody.
Yeah.
A comic fan can be anybody. So what I'm trying to do is get as many different types of people in just the backgrounds. Just trying to throw a random person
Yeah.
in there, trying to think, if I walk down the street, who am I going to see?
Yeah.
If I go to New York City and walk around, who am I going to see?
All
You know,
types.
if I go
yeah.
to a Comic-Con, who am I going to see? Cosplay. We're going to see a lot of cosplay
yeah,
stuff.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun drawing the crowd scenes, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun sneaking intellectual property in there from people who have let us borrow their characters.
Yeah, that's fun. That's
We've
totally
got
fun.
like some hack slash Easter eggs in there. We've got some Battle Pug Easter eggs in there, which is
Nice.
really fun.
Nice.
So what's great about Fangirl is it's not just this comic book about these teenage nerds, these teenage, video game kids. It's about all of us. It's
Yeah.
every single part of this culture is going to be represented in that book.
Nice.
And it's going to be really, really, really exciting.
That really gets me to a point where we think about your cast
Mm-hmm.
so far is pretty diverse. Like your main cast is pretty diverse, and diversity is a very hot topic in comics, and it can arise a lot of emotion. People kind of like either shut down, don't know how to address it at all,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be a very controversial thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And otherwise, how do you feel? Because I feel like there's been progression. Like when you really look for diversity, it's there, but when you get to like a mainstream, it starts to like filter out, and it starts getting more male and more white the further you get to the really big ones.
Yeah.
Do you feel that these independent works are diverse, but do you feel that is that true progression?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think any piece of progression going forward to more diverse, more representation is always going to be a good thing. If you pick up an indie comic book right now, chances are it's a diverse team. It's really the big two that we're trying to push for more representation
Yeah.
in. I mean, honestly, if you look at indie comics right now, there's tons of representation in there. There's tons of people
Absolutely.
of color, comic artists and writers, and it's really just we're trying to push it towards the big two because that's really what people read the most. A lot of people don't know about indie comics. A lot of people know
you
about
gotta
DC
search
and
for
Marvel.
that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Word of mouth, a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
some people
right?
are just now learning about Image. Some people
Yeah,
didn't
that's
even
saying
know about
something,
Image
right?
comics
And
before.
that's seriously, an image is
Yeah.
supposed to be like 3. You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
right there.
Exactly. So the big two, I think, I think they still have some work to do as far as diversity. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're on the right track, though. I truly do. I think that they're really getting up there and they're really making a lot of progress. I think one of the biggest steps that they took was the Batgirl team right now with Babs Tarr, Brennan Fletcher, and Cameron Stewart.
Oh, nice.
The reason I say that is because if you pick up the Batgirl book, it's not like any other comic you're going to read today. It's totally a different style than the house style that DC has always had. DC has always had the same house style. It's never been different. And now all of a sudden you've got this super cute, cartoonish Batgirl
Oh my gosh!
running
Now
around.
I know what you're talking. I had to visualize because people were kind of like criticized it quite a bit
Yes.
because it stood out.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like a DC comic. It was
Yeah.
very. Someone called it the Gossip Girl of
Yeah.
like comics. I was like,
A lot
wow,
of
that's
people
kind of
were
rough.
upset at all the pop culture going on in the book as well. You know, she takes a lot of selfies and things like that. But this is a relatable character. This is
She's
a girl
real.
that is. She's just like any other college student out there that goes out, hangs out with her friends, but then has got a full-time job to go to, and she just
Justice
she
at night.
happens to be a superhero at
Yeah,
night. You know?
yeah, absolutely.
That book to me is really screaming diversity right now.
Because like the cover, I remember. Well, I don't know what this alternate cover was. Her like in the bathroom with like the phone or something like that, which I thought was like
Yeah.
obscenely adorable.
Yeah,
it was
it's
like it kind of was like shell shock a little bit. Like who
It's
would have thought?
really, 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 really good. And I think having just Babs be on that book truly, truly makes it because she doesn't know anything about comics. She didn't know how to draw comic books prior to that. You know, I think they found her on Tumblr.
Wow.
You know, they
would've
wanted
thought?
something different. And Brennan and Cameron really just jumped the gun and were like, hey, let's do something different with Batgirl. Let's change
Wow.
it up a little bit. And I will always love Gail Simone's Batgirl. I truly do. But I'm really, really enjoying the diversity and things going on in the Batgirl book. I mean, there's so many different types of cultures represented in there as well, just as everyday people. I mean, it's just like Batgirl is actually in our world right now, and it's perfect. It's perfect for what DC's trying to do.
Contemporary.
Yeah.
And I applaud DC for what they've done so far. I feel like
I
mean,
agree.
I'm very biased. I'm incredibly biased with DC. My introduction to comics is via DC or whatnot. Either it was the animated series
Right.
or the movies or whatnot. But whatnot. Otherwise, right. Fangirl, you have something special to show us. Something exclusive, something new.
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you may.
I do.
We have a portfolio right here and ready to go.
Okay. So the character that we kind of want to talk about a little bit, and she's become my second favorite besides Gwen.
Yeah, you called her the unsung hero.
Yes, I like to call her the unsung hero because she's somebody that we're not really going to expect to step up and be here.
Yeah.
How should I show it? Should I just...
There we go.
Okay. So,
There
this
she
is
goes.
Hala Davi right here. She works for...
Yeah. Gotcha.
She works for the FBI.
Yes.
She's a very, very, very smart and intellectual woman. She is Pakistani American. Okay, that's very important. Pakistani American. She is an American. She is also Muslim, so which is why she's wearing the hijab. She's also a huge nerd. She is the biggest gamer. Which is why I wanted to show this page of her desk. Her desk here kind of shows us a little bit of the stuff that she's into.
Yeah.
It gives us kind of an idea that she is a nerd at
Yeah,
heart,
I
trying to fit
see
in
it.
with the big world.
That's gonna be me, pretty much. Yeah, I'm like trying to like fit all my weird nerd stuff in my little cubicle.
One really great thing that I love about Davi
Yeah.
is with her facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
She is very like, whoa, I smell bullshit right now.
Yeah,
I
like-
smell like you can see it.
I
on
see her arched
face.
eyebrow, and she's
You
just
can
like,
see
nope,
it on her
nope,
face.
nope.
And one great thing about it
Yeah.
is that on a previous page here, we get a nice close-up of Davi's face. Right here.
Oh, I see.
And here is like the perfect example of who Davi is. She's
Yeah.
pretty much hiding in plain sight with these guys, you know, trying to pretend she's on their side, but really, she's not. She's not on your side.
Bum bum bum.
She's going to be the one that kind of changes the playing field for our main cast.
Uh-huh.
They really don't find out about her for a while. which is something I really like because she's kind of in the background doing things and they don't really know about it.
Yeah.
But one reason why Davi is so important is because right now this country is having some kind of problem with Muslim Americans.
Yes.
And this is to show you, this representation right here is to show you they are just like us. They
Absolutely.
are Americans.
Yeah.
They are no different.
They work in law enforcement.
Exactly. They do everything we do. And this is very, very important to have that kind of representation in this comic right now, because there's too much hate going on in the world.
I agree. I completely agree.
There really is. And this character is just going to break a lot of boundaries and barriers that people have for Muslims, which I think shouldn't even be.
Yeah.
But people, we just need to show them that these people are just like us.
Yeah.
They belong with us. They're human.
Yeah.
And
they
they're going to be in our book.
Part of our culture. They're part of American culture. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Yeah, they belong. And there's no reason why they shouldn't be represented in our comic.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. We're really excited to
this is
show
gonna be
everybody
really cool.
Davi and have everybody see some of the tricks she's got up her sleeves.
Yeah,
so.
just seeing, a Muslim woman represented in her hijab is massive.
Yeah.
It's massive because it's like people mystify it. People don't really understand it. People have all these feelings about it. But you're showing it in a very, ordinary circumstance. Like, this is an everyday thing for them. It is a personal choice. And it's just, that's who she is. Exactly. And there's no reason to, look into it any more than that.
Exactly, yeah. That's something that we really want to make sure that people understand is that even though this is a comic book, even though this situation hopefully will never happen to anybody, it's still us. It's still raw. Yeah. It's still real. There's
still grounded.
So much emotion in this book.
There
are so many feels in this book, and
you pick it up just a bit. There
Davi definitely is going to help with all those feels. Yeah. Okay. She's going to change
the game
quite
entirely.
A few things.
Okay.
And there should be more representation of people of different religions, different cultures, and things like that in comic books. So
I think it's effort.
Excited.
It's effort on the creator's behalf to really put this forward because, the white male protagonist is lazy. It's super lazy. You know what I mean? It's lazy as hell if you're using white male protagonist as your default. That's your okay, cool.
You know what I honestly think though? I honestly think a lot of people don't know any better.
We're ingrained, right? It's a cultural thing.
I honestly think that people don't realize that a comic can represent anybody. And that's why I honestly feel like Fangirl is so important because it has our main cast is diverse enough. We've got Alice. First of all, Alice is the tiniest little thing you've ever seen in your life. She's very short. She's very small. But she's really tough.
Yeah.
She has a lot of drive. And she wants to make sure that her friends are going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Then we've got, on the other hand, Aaron. Aaron goes through a very large transition in this book. He is our kind of suave, cool guy.
I like when you draw guys. It's like...
Thank you.
They're very smooth. They're very clean-looking dudes.
Thank you.
They're adorable. Because I know that's not your norm thing to do.
Yeah, they're supposed to be teenagers, so I want them to look kind of young,
soft.
Yeah, I want them to... It's funny because Aaron's got a little bit of ruggedness going on here, a little bit of stubble. And I always think that that's so cute. It's like, it's showing him growing up because it's giving him a little bit of facial hair. But then we've got Scott, who is our typical nerd boy. He's, a little bit on the heavier side, but that's very important to have in our group. We need diversity. We need them all to be different. And then we've got Jimmy. Jimmy is like a Hispanic guy.
Yeah.
He's a total metalhead.
Okay.
He is very, very eccentric. Jimmy is the guy that will tell you all day long while you're super excited for your day that you suck and you're not worth anything.
Oh, he sounds like a lot of fun.
Jimmy's that guy. Jimmy's the guy that's going to bust your balls all day long. And I really enjoy drawing Jimmy because he says some of the most ridiculous things in the book that just make the situation so much worse. And it's just like, how can this get any worse? Well, let Jimmy open his mouth.
Okay. Right. He's that guy.
It got a lot worse. But then we've got my favorite, Gwen. Gwen is our beautiful black girl. She's got
She
the
has
black girl
fantastic
magic.
hair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a real, it's, I got it from a real
Yeah,
girl's
she's
hair.
great hair.
It's fantastic. She works really hard on her hair.
Yeah.
And Gwen was originally written as a sporty tomboy type.
Mm-hmm.
But I changed that a little bit. I'll be honest. I did. I felt that we were being too stereotypical with the black girl. I wanted to give her something extra. So she's still a tomboy. She still loves sports. But she's also a huge nerd when it comes to like Sailor Moon and stuff like that. So she's got a lot of pink in her room.
So it's like kind of meshing the both worlds
Yeah,
together and
yeah.
getting something wholly new.
Exactly.
You know?
She's not what you would expect to see from someone like
Like
that.
a jock,
Exactly.
watching Sailor Moon. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like she loves cartoons and stuffed animals, all things cute, which is why her and Alice become so close with each other because they're both like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so awesome. Like they're both huge fangirls. So
That's awesome.
we needed to have that extra bit of diversity in there. Each of them are going to go through their own struggles throughout the book. They all have their own little story of struggle that we're going to really, really get into. And I think when people read this, especially if you're a teenager, I think you're really going to relate with the emotions and the things that these guys are going through. Because one of the things that lacks a lot in books today that teenagers read, I feel, is there's nothing that helps them to understand the experience that they're going through. I mean, when you're a teenager, I'm sure you can remember.
Yes.
It was a very confusing time.
Yes, it
You're
was.
not really sure what's going on. You've got
didn't
all these
know.
emotions and
Had a
all
lot.
these feels, and you think you know everything. And
You don't know anything about the world.
yeah, exactly. That's literally what these kids are like, And this book was written for Tom's daughter.
Oh, yes, right.
Miranda.
He said in the video that was adorable.
Yeah, and she's a teenager. So everything that they do is what teenagers today are doing.
Yeah.
We're getting all the reference from the right sources.
Yeah.
So I think when the book does come out and people read it, I really think they're going to enjoy it, and they're actually really going to be able to relate to just the emotions and the things that the group themselves are going through outside of the murder.
But yeah, like you said, writing for teens and whatnot. I figure the best practice would be if you're writing for teens, write something that you would want to read when you were 15 or 16
Right.
years old. Like, don't be condescending. You know what I mean? Be sincere about how you're addressing your audience. And I feel like maybe that's a problem with a lot of things that come out because they think they know what the kids like. You know what I mean? But they really have no idea because they don't even talk to them.
Yeah, I think one thing that you have to remember is your target market.
Yeah.
You have to remember, who are you gearing this book for?
Yeah.
Well, this book is for everybody. Literally,
I kind of get that
everybody.
vibe. Yeah, I totally get that vibe. Like, I can see a full-grown man like reading it, and I can see a really little girl like wanting to read it. It feels like there's a huge net.
Yeah, it's we wanted to make it that way for a few reasons, because there's not a lot of comics today specifically for everybody. It's usually a specific target market. It's like, it's geared towards men, or it's geared towards women, or it's geared towards people of color, or it's something specific. You don't need that in comics. You can have a comic that has a little bit of everything, and it's for everybody. If you've never read a comic before, Fangirl's for you. If you're a seasoned pro at reading comics all day long, Fangirl's for you. If you are young and just starting to read, Fangirl is for you.
Yeah, that's a really cool philosophy to go by when you're making this. It makes it that much more fun. Now you're trying to narrow things down and try to, because I feel like I always hear about really popular shows that get canceled and whatnot, right? And they're really awesome because they didn't meet their target audience,
right?
Or they didn't do what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to write. But otherwise, do you have a release date for Fangirl? I know we're still in process. Things have to get, confirmed and all that.
Well, we're really hard at work on the book right now. We have a goal of the summer to get it out by the summertime.
All right.
And our team, we're seriously just working as hard as we can. We're communicating with each other as often as possible. One thing that we do really want to just remind everybody is Fangirl is coming. Please be patient with us.
Yes, it takes time. These things
take time.
Yeah.
And what we want to just remind everybody is we're doing this book on our own.
Yeah.
We're not working through a publisher. We have to go out and print the books ourselves and everything like that. We've got to
That's
ship them
no
out.
joke at all.
Yeah,
That's
so
a task in itself.
thankfully, you know, our fans and the guys that have pledged the book have been really understanding and really excited, and we're really excited to
Yeah.
get it out. So it's coming out in the summer. It's definitely coming out in the summer.
All right, sweet. So we talked about whatchamacallit, this demographic for comic books, right?
Right.
And there's a public perception of comic books that they are children's play, like they're just for kids. I'm talking about really a real lay person, like someone who's just like doesn't know anything and whatnot. Is it safe to say that these views have changed over time? You know what I mean? Like, being that comics are way more mainstream now, and people
yeah.
are like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like
You can tell just by the crowds going into Comic-Con today.
parents and their kids and stuff like that. And they're dressed up too, to be honest. Like, they're all dressed up.
Yeah.
And I think I never quite understood why people thought that comics or even animation was just for kids. I never understood that. I feel like you can tell, like there's something powerful about something, whether it's written for kids or not, that anybody can gravitate towards. You know, it shouldn't just be like, oh, okay, well, comics are for kids and you're a grown up, so you can't read this stuff.
I think it's society's fault, honestly.
Yeah,
Society
sucks.
tells us that we have to grow up and put those childish things away, and I think with specifically our generation, we're like, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We want to keep our kid stuff and still be an adult. We can do that. And I
Yeah.
think that's why comics are becoming so mainstream, and like older people are like, hey,
I remember
comic
way back
books,
when in
you
the
know?
day.
Yeah, like I think it has to do with us not wanting to give up on the things we love and
Yeah.
putting it into our adult lives.
I feel like it's very much like I want to say it's a millennial thing, because it's very ordinary for us to like watch Adventure Time or
Right.
watch Steven Universe when it's obviously says is rated for like, and we can see like, you know what I mean. we don't care, like we don't care. We will watch all of the Sailor Moon. We're gonna watch all of the old stuff we grew up with, and it's transitioned to our adulthood. It's like
Right.
we haven't stopped watching those things.
Right.
We still support them. We still want to see new things.
And we
whatnot.
are the audience. You know, we are the ones that are buying these
Yeah,
products, and
we're
as
keeping
long
it
as-
alive.
Exactly. As
Yeah.
long as we keep telling people that we want this, as
Yeah.
long as we keep letting them know that we want to buy this, this is what we want
Yeah.
to read, this is what we want to watch. It's not
Absolutely,
going to go anywhere.
it's not.
We're
And I
not
feel like
going
comics
anywhere.
are here to stay. Like
Yes.
people are gonna still be reading books and whatnot.